All right, it's steak experiment day, my favorite day. We got some skirt steak, some outside skirt steak to be specific. This is what it looks like with the membrane still on. It's untrimmed, nothing been done to it yet. We're gonna do that. We've got some flank steak. We've got some flat meat. And we've got a Sierra steak that we took off our chuck roll. We'll put the link to the video below. Let's go ahead and get these trimmed up. So this here is a Sierra steak. This is what we cut off the bottom of our chuck roll the day we processed the chuck roll. I'm just gonna tiny little detail work, and that thing's already ready to go. We trimmed it the day of, so I'm gonna move that aside. Sirloin flat meat, same thing. It's just one, probably more than half the piece here. That's all we needed for our purposes. I didn't trim it too well, so I'm gonna work on it just a tiny bit. Don't want to chew on that much fat. We're gonna do some flank steak next. Just some light trimming. It actually doesn't need a whole lot. It's already pretty cleaned up. The thinner parts of this are going to take a lot less time to cook, obviously. So the goal will be get the center a medium rare, and the outsides will be well done. All these cuts are great for like fajita meat or anything like that. Today we're going to compare them straight up, not in a fajita, on their own. Really get a gauge of tenderness, texture, and go over that in detail. And then after that, we're gonna do some onions and some peppers and throw them on some tortillas and make a decision on what we think is best. We got our skirt steak. It has this membrane covering it, which you just get started with your fingers and peel off. Skirt steak is the most expensive of the four meats we're trying out today, followed by the flat meat, then the flank steak, then the Sierra steak. Sierra steak you probably can't even find everywhere. It's kind of a rare cut because you only get one steak off an entire 25-30 pound chuck roll. So you peel this off as clean as you can. Flip it over. You got another membrane to contend with. If you just get it started and get it open at one end without being careful not to tear into the muscle, and grip it firmly and re-grip as you need to just pull it away. Steaks are all trimmed up. We've got our flank steaks, skirt steak, flat meat, and our Sierra steak. Each cut of meat, we're going to season and marinate the exact same way. We're going to start with a tablespoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of paprika, half teaspoon of cumin, half teaspoon of cayenne, half teaspoon of garlic powder, half teaspoon of onion powder, quarter teaspoon of sea salt, a third cup of olive oil. We're going to take half a shot or 0.75 ounces of tequila, and half a lime and half a lemon. We're going to start with our flat meat. We're going to marinate that one first. So we're going to put it into a Ziploc bag. And then we're going to add our seasonings, squeeze in our lemon, squeeze in our lime, pour in our tequila, see how it does. Finally, let's add our tequila. Quality control as always. So on each cut of meat, you just want to make sure you distribute all these seasonings as evenly as you can before you set it in the fridge to rest overnight.
Sierra. Flat. One.
We're going to do two different taste tests today. We're letting our steaks rest, but first we're going to see what steak Wolf prefers, raw or cooked. I'm going to start with cooked. Good boy. What do you think? Is that adequate? Yeah, he seems to like it. Let's see. Hey, you want to try the raw? I mean, I think we have a definitive winner. So go ahead and pre-rinse that for me. All right, good boy. Okay, flat meat, Sierra steak, skirt steak, flank steak. I'm going to start with what I'm most curious about, which is the Sierra steak. It's been years since I had one, so let's go ahead and get into that now. You want to make sure you cut against the grain, and the grain starts to go this way and kind of turns that way at the end. Obviously going to be more well done on the edge and more rare in the middle, so I'm going to cut it right in half and get a look at it. Now, I cooked these a little bit more than I would have, say, if you were just grilling a steak and eating it with some vegetables, but ultimately these are going to end up on fajitas, and you don't want to end up with a mouthful of blood if you're doing something like that. So a little bit more done than usual, but to me that looks beautiful. It looks like it's got a good sear all around and the right coloration in the middle. We're going to go ahead and try that out, see how it is. Oh, that looks beautiful. That looks outstanding. I am actually pretty excited. Oof, that flavor is good. I'm impressed. I really had no expectations. Like I said, it's been a while since I've had one. Man, it's not quite as melts in your mouth as, say, your more standard steaks, but the flavor and the bite, outstanding. We're gonna try our flat meat next. See how it did. Now we got a thick side and a tapered side. So obviously the tapered side is gonna be very well done, but the thick side is gonna be a little bit lesser. What I'm gonna do is cut it down the middle so it's a little more manageable. Looks pretty good to me. Feels good. Feels like it's going to be tender. Let's see. Very juicy. Yeah, good coloration. Oh, that's going to be delicious. You can't go wrong here. You can just tell. Let's check some of that out. Oh yeah. All right. So the Sierra steak, I liked the flavor slightly better. It had something to it that was just a deliciousness, but you saw how it was chewing and going at it, the texture. I think the texture more than makes up for it from the flat meat to the Sierra. So far, between the flat meat and the Sierra, flat meat is delicious. I would make fajitas out of this anytime. Next, we got our flank steak. The grain clearly runs this way. I've seen where some people say cut it at a diagonal, some people say cut it at an angle. To me, looking at the grain itself, it looks like you'd be pretty safe going almost absolutely straight. I might put a slight diagonal on it just to be sure. Again, going to cut it in the middle, see the best coloration we got. Let's see. Yeah, a little more rare in the middle, it's a little thicker. Good hard sear on that though. I'll bet that's going to be outstanding. Pretty good. Let's see. I might even cut it in half again just to get a manageable bite here. Oh yeah. Let's check that out. It's going to be a weird description. Smooth. I mean, just the texture is so good. I'm actually very surprised by that. I think the marinade really did its work there. Wow. Out of the three so far, Sierra steak was the least favorite. Flat meat, runner-up. So far, I don't know, kind of a toss-up between flank and flap. I'm impressed by how this came out. I kind of think I have to give a slight edge to the flat meat. So far, flat meat, flank steak, Sierra steak. We're going to try our skirt steak. I'm going to cut it again at the thickest point, see how it looks. Looks good, just like the rest of them. Looks very good. Got it into a manageable size here. And then we're going to cut it again Obviously being more well done on the outside, a little more rare on the inside. That looks amazing if you were doing any kind of fajita dish. Oh man. Yeah, look at that. I can feel it, that it's more tender than the other ones. Not that I have any complaints with the other ones. I would eat fajitas out of any of these any day. But yeah, let's go ahead and give this a try. And try a skirt steak here. It looks really good. I can feel the texture. Feels really good. Wow. Wow. That's fantastic. Definitive winner. I have no problem with any of these steaks. I would eat that Sierra steak all day long as a fajita meat. Just gets better when you go to the flank. Gets even better when you go to the flap, which is pretty similar actually to the skirt steak. So save you a couple bucks a pound. Get the flap if you want. But man, that skirt steak is good. Yeah, skirt steak wins this one. All right, my friends. Out of the 4 different proteins here, the Sierra steak was the least desirable. It's a kind of a rare cut anyway. You'll probably never run into it until you try to seek it out because it is unique. It's good. It will work in a fajita, but being that these other 3 meats exist, I'm going to go ahead and say erroneous. Don't need it. Unless they're selling at like a really good price, then I get it. After that, the flank steak, I would say most common when you go to a restaurant, it's probably what you get. Tastes very familiar. Most times I go out and I get fajitas. Yeah, it's all about the flank steak. It's usually what they're going to be using. Now, I didn't want to leave you on the fence. The flat meat and the skirt were so close. It was hard to make a decision, but I know I have a horrible habit of always having a tie. So slight edge skirt steak, flat meat is so good though that I can't say anything bad about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy one of these fajitas. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Outstanding.